In?
Seriously?
Seriously? The Night Chicago Died by Paper Lace.
Oh, the night Chicago died. Like a police siren.
Daddy was a cop on the east side of Chicago, back in the USA, back in the bad old days. In the heat of a summer night, in the land of the dollar bill, when the town of Chicago died, and we talk about it still. When a man named Al Capone tried to make that town his own, and he called his gang to war with the forces of the law. I heard my mama cry, I heard her pray the night Chicago died. Brother, what a night it really was. Brother, what I thought it really was. Glory be. I heard my mama cry, I heard her pray the night Chicago died. Brother, what a night the people saw. Brother, what I thought the people saw. Yes, indeed. And the sound of the battle rang through the streets of the old east side, till the last of the hoodlum gang had surrendered up or died. They were shouting in the street, and the sound of running feet. And I asked someone who said, about 100 cops are dead. I heard my mama cry, I heard her pray the night Chicago died. Brother, what a night it really was. Brother, what I thought it really was. Glory be. I heard my mama cry, I heard her pray the night Chicago died. Brother, what a night the people saw. Brother, what I thought the people saw. Yes, indeed. Then there was no sound at all but the clock upon the wall. Then the door burst open wide, and my daddy stepped inside, and he kissed my mama's face, and he brushed her tears away. The night Chicago died. The night Chicago died. Brother, what a night the people saw. Brother, what a fight the people saw. Yes, indeed. The night Chicago died. The night Chicago died. Brother, what a night it really was. Brother, what a fight it really was. Glory be. The night Chicago died. The night Chicago died. Brother, what a night the people saw. Brother, what a fight the people saw.
Wow.
Oh.
This is a 10 on 10 song. I say it right
Why
away.
is that? Why is that?
Right away.
Would you explain
I
it?
enjoy it.
Would you explain it? Why 10 on 10?
Damn. Everything was right about this song. I mean, apart from the night Chicago died and all the problems that were happening in the night. But wow, the vocals were amazing. Those elements of hey and then ho and claps and all of that. Wow, this was exciting. This song was great. It sounded great. On the first listen, I was all into it. And a song doesn't need 2 times for a person to get it in, invite inside. It's just one listen is enough. And you decide whether you want to listen to them more and more or no. This is a great introduction to Paper Lace. I like this song. The night Chicago died. I like the music a lot. Whatever they did with the music was all right. And I think a lot of people can get a lot of inspiration from this song itself. All the tunes, everything were different, were new, were refreshing.
What I don't, well, I agree with your sentiment on the music and
the vocals and the
vocals
style
and everything.
Yeah.
The story is very sad.
I know it is.
It's very sad. It's Al Capone. Many of us know he's one of the most notorious gangsters in the world.
Yes?
He was.
Okay,
He was. And there was this deadly massacre on the east side, and this is the song that talks about that.
Okay.
His father, one of the band members or the artist's father, was a cop on the east side of Chicago where it happened. And that's why the mother cried, because she was worried about the
Yeah,
father.
but he came home.
Finally, he came home, he kissed her, everything was well,
Yeah.
and it was a happy ending. But it wasn't a happy ending for all the thousands and thousands of families whose people were killed. Cops were killed, gangsters were killed, innocent people were killed with stray bullets. You know, that was the time of the Tommy gun. Tommy gun was king in Chicago. Al Capone ruled the empire, but the king of it all was the Tommy gun. And the Tommy gun spoke and people died. It was as simple as that.
Whoa.
So those were the times where, you know, Chicago, literally it was a gangster's paradise.
We reacted to
And-
Gangster's Paradise.
Yeah, but it's not that kind of gangster's paradise, it's even worse.
Okay.
So, and you know, nothing much has changed in Chicago really, or for that matter in many large cities in the West, specifically in North America, more specifically or precisely in America. Nothing much has changed. Today, the Tommy gun has changed to a suit and a tie and the banks. You know, so
Okay.
you have the corporate sector and the banking sector, which was
Capitalist, yeah.
largely responsible for the poverty of the whole world today. Largely responsible. From 2008 till 2019 today, it's been more than 10 years now. The whole world has been suffering because of the banking crisis, the financial crisis that started in 2008 in America, primarily due to the bankers and the venture capitalists and the investors and the government. So they were all equally responsible, and they are the Tommy gun in today's world. They still rule. They are the godfathers. They can do what they want. They can print money out of thin air. They can create wealth out of nothing, and they can create havoc for society at large. And mortgage, people who have suffered and are dying due to severe problems, not having proper health care, not having proper insurance when they die, their family members have to, you know, they suffer for decades. And so many severe problems are there which are affecting millions of Americans today and millions of people around the world. So Al Capone was just one guy. He killed thousands of people, or responsible for the deaths of thousands of people, many of them being cops, many of them being gangsters,
Other ones,
competitive gangs. Many of his own gang members also died because of him. Because when you fire the Tommy gun, the person in the front also has a Tommy gun at times. So it's both way firing, and this is what this was. This was a full-blown gang war. It was replayed in a few movies. I've seen documentaries on this topic. And, you know, so a great song by Paper Lace, but it talks about the modern world where we may not be killed by the Tommy gun, but the numbers of those dying and suffering are in the millions, not in the hundreds or thousands, like Al Capone's time. Today they are in the millions, and no one is doing anything.
You know, the only best example for all the capitalists and all the bankers I see in today's world is we may be tackling with mosquito as well. We may be killing and tackling with the mosquito problem well by fumigation. But if you make a huge mosquito that is sucking people's blood, would consist all these entities and all these organizations. They suck blood out of people, and they get the blood, and in return they give side effects and other illnesses to people too.
Another song where the music was phenomenal. I'll give it 10 on 10. I agree with Kirti.
Yeah.
Vocals were phenomenal. I'll give it 9 on 10. The lyrics, you know, I just don't agree with all this violence. Nothing. There's nothing to it. It was a happy ending, but I don't like violence.
You should understand
I
my
just
way of
detest
rating.
and dislike violence.
Yeah.
And I'm a Gandhi follower,
Yeah.
a Mahatma Gandhi follower.
Yeah.
I follow the path of non-violence in my everyday life. I meditate. I love meditation. I love a peaceful lifestyle. I love a relaxing lifestyle. And I wish the same for everyone all around the world. There's no sense in this violence and this suffering and all that is going on in the Western world mainly. and it's spreading to the other parts of the world slowly. So I just don't like this, all this talk about war and bloodshed and, so many people crying and unhappy because of all that. Sad. What were you going to say?
I was saying my basis for the rating it high 10 was the way it was written. It was self-explanatory, it was clear, and it was not repetitive.
Yeah, it's based on a real story as well. So